if you want to go back and look at it. So again, now that I'm recording, let me run through that again. We're going to change our CSS to add an HTML tag because that affects the entire document. We're going to add a parameter for box sizing inside that HTML because it's want it to affect all of the pages in our web page. We're going to add a background color to the body to take care of the div problem of different sizing and the colors not matching up. And then we're going to remove the background color from the left, the content, and the right. Excuse me. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. So let me get into my student account. Okay, so you should be logging in with your Google account. Now, remember, we're working in teams. If you have not moved your portfolio to the teams, you need to do so. And I can help you. You need to come to my my office hours from 1 to 1:30 every day, except for Wednesday. Okay. And that's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I can meet with you on time outside of that if you need extra help. Okay, so check the chat. If you're having any problems, you need to come to that time. That is what that time is set aside for. So we are working in teams. This is P5, period 5. And if you should be working in the portfolio new. Portfolio new. So when you say continue working, it should open it up. If you're having problems, please put it in the chat now, and I will look at it while I'm working through this, and we'll work. And I'm going to give you time at the end to get our portfolio going. Okay. So it's going to ask you need permission to notify. Sure, why not? The nice thing about Teams is if you haven't, excuse me, if you are having problems, I can work with you. If you're still in the old classroom, I can't make changes to that. I can just see your code. So that was a big thing. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so here we go. So on our list, the first thing we were going to do is we're going to change the style.css. So once you're in your code, click on the style.css file. All right. Okay, so we need to add a body tag. And I want it to be at the same level as all these other ones. In fact, I do need to, these are all indented too much. I'm going to have to clean that up, but that's for another class. All right, so Actually, the tag I want to add first is the HTML, and I try to keep my tags in the CSS in the same order that they are in HTML, just so I know where to look for them. Okay, so if I have it kind of laid out in a certain way in my HTML, I try to have it mirrored in the CSS. So HTML covers the entire document. So we're going to do HTML, open, close, curly bracket. Actually, when you do the open one, it does the close one for you. Just make sure that you arrow over and hit enter. And we want to add a rule, a CSS rule or declaration for box sizing. And we're going to tell it that we are going to do our box sizing based on the border, not on the margin. So we're going to say border box. That's all we need for the HTML part. Okay, the next thing that was on our list was to, well, in order for that to work, we also need to now go change all of our padding, get rid of it. So I still want to, my header's at 98% of the screen. It's going to fill all but 2% of it. So I'm going to try to keep that same percentage for the middle section, which has the three sections, the left, the center, or the content, and the right. Okay, so I'm going to leave the width at 15, and I'm going to get rid of the padding 0 altogether. So I'm just going to delete it. If I need it, I'll bring it back in later. Okay. Content. Now remember, I want it at 98%. So I'm going to change the width of this one to 63, and I'm going to get rid of that 2% padding left. Okay. So now we're just dealing with one number for width instead of trying to figure out the width of the content and then the padding around it and all of that. Because remember, the box model, the CSS box model, has a margin around it, and we're getting rid of all of those. And we may have to put the padding back in, but for now, we are going to work on not having any padding or margin. And that's what that box sizing does for us. Okay, so we're at 63, or not 60. We want to be, for content, we want to be at 68. And then on the right side, we're going to have a, we're going to take that back down to 15 again, and we're going to get rid of the padding left and right on that one. Okay. All right, so when we rerun that, I'm just going to open up in a new window here for a sec. And okay, everything looks like it fits. All right. All right, so to recap, we added HTML box sizing, border box is box sizing is the attribute or the proper, and border box is the value. This is the property and the value. That's the first thing we did. So add that in. We came down to our left. We changed the width to 15, and we got rid of the padding that was in there. So we got, make sure that you keep your semicolons. We went to content. We changed the width to 68. Okay. Notice when you fly over it, it even talks about the box sizing thing. So And then on the right, we're going to leave that at 15 and get rid of the padding as well. Make sure you keep the floats to make sure everything floats next to each other. If you're having problems, see some of you are, I'm going to pull your stuff up while we're talking. Okay, now the next thing that was on our list to do, add a body CSS and add a background color. All right, so again, I like to put them in the same order. So HTML, the body becomes before the container. So we're going to put body in there, open and close curly bracket, shift, there we go, hit enter, and we're going to put a background color. Now I have a certain color scheme, and I'm going to use the same background color that I used for the left side. So I'm going to use that 5D 5C61. 5D 5C61. Yep. I want to have I'm keeping with my color scheme. And so that should take care of. Now when I run that, it's not going to change. Why is that? Because remember, in CSS, the last one wins. So I have background colors on each one of my divs, and I don't want that. I want the header the same, but I don't want it on the left, the center, or the content, or the right. Now, I may want those colors back at some point, and so instead of erasing it and then having to figure out how to put it back in, I'm going to comment it out. I'm going to just make it not be part of CSS, but it's still there. Okay? And the way we comment things is with a /* to start. Notice that everything turns gray because it's looking for its pair. So I'm going to go to the end of the line, and I'm going to hit a */. Okay? If you are using a regular keyboard, right here on the number pad, those two are right next to each other. There's a reason that they've used those codes because they're right next to each other. It just makes commenting things in programming languages easy. Okay? If you're on your Chromebook, you're going to have to do the /, which is, or the the /, which is right next to the shift key, underneath the question mark, and the shifted 8 for the star. Okay. All right, so I need to get rid of the one in the left. I need to get rid of the content one. So again, I'm going to comment them out. So /* space. Make sure that you do its pair * /. Okay? And make sure your red and your different colors come back. All right. If you forget to close it, it just basically comments everything out until the end, and so your CSS will completely stop working, which is not what you want. Okay. And we're going to get rid of the background on the right as well. Make sure you start out with the /* and you close it. So basically what that does is now background color is no longer part of each of my divs because I've commented it out. It's ignored by the interpreter. What the part of the computer that looks at the code says, oh, ignore that. The first thing I'm going to do is min height and set the minimum height. I'm going to set the height auto and so on. Okay, so these other ones are still active. This first one is no longer active. Okay? So if I go look at that, right now I've got a gray, a different color gray, and then that gray again. When I reload, I should have one solid color. Nice. So now when they grow different, I also, before that, I had some white space down here because it wasn't as big as the target was. Okay? And that should go to all of my pages because I did it in CSS. Okay, so to recap, so after we did the HTML box sizing, we did the body and we gave it a background color using your color scheme. Okay. Your header and your footer should still have different colors, just to give it some contrast, unless you really don't want them to have different contrast, but usually we do. I also noticed on my web page, I can't really, the right panel is in black and so is the footer. You can add the color. I'm going to put a color on there the same as my other ones. This is not a requirement. Again, this is yours. But since I have a darker color, I want a little bit lighter, and I don't really like white because if I change the color back to white, which will happen, or if the CSS crashes and it goes to white, then you can't see your okay. How come my title? Oh, my title works on because I haven't changed my title for the other ones. Aha. But the footer is now yellow. That's good. So it picked up that on all of them. All right, on my About Me page and my West Valley home page, I haven't put the title in those. So let's go fix that. Remember, we created a class called P-Title for those, but we wanted it so that we could control just those titles. So I'm going to go back to my West Valley HTML, find the header, get rid of this as a header because I want to say what this is. And we're going to use the class equals open quote P-title close quote and West Valley high school. And that. I need to center it too, forgot that. So let's go back and center it. Same place it's in the header, but it also goes in. So we want to align ALIGN equals open quote center and close quote. Reload that. And it now is above. Okay, that looks good. You need to do the same for the About Me page. I'm going to go to the About Me page, find the header. P-title was the class we made, and ILIGN. Run that. About me. Mr. B portfolio. Okay. All right, to recap, what did we change today? We added these two. Okay. And we commented out, we added a background color to the body that fits in my color scheme that I downloaded earlier. Again, you should have your own color scheme, and those colors should work together. They should complement each other. And there's a lot of color schemes out on the internet that you can use that will show you which colors go together. Okay. Since I now have a background color for the entire body, for the entire document, I don't need it on the individual left, content, and right, but I do want to leave it on the header and the footer. I actually want those to look different. Okay. And I'm probably going to get a different gray for the footer. I might even just reuse it. Okay. All right, so now we have to start. And then we took out, also we did the box sizing, so we had to change the width to 15 on the left, 68 on the content, and 15 on the right for a total of 98. That just gives us a 2% margin on width so that it fits and doesn't like push right up against the edges. Okay. We then went to our index. We had added a class P title before and align center. And we had also pushed our image down and a few other things that we had done to make it fit better. Okay. So now we're starting to build our portfolio. So down here in the content where it says homepage, okay. I'm going to change that to an H1, and I'm going to type in, this is my portfolio for Web Design 101. Close the H1, reload that. All right, so now we're starting to build our portfolio, and I'm going to get some requirements on what you're going to need. But this is a portfolio about what you've learned in this class. So we're going to obviously have to add a tag for HTML to talk about that, maybe a link to some web pages that we use. We're going to add on our menu, we're going to add our thing for CSS and start adding some information about that. And hopefully we'll get to some JavaScript. So actually do some code or actual programming, okay, not just building tags. All right. We're going to have on our West Valley homepage, we're going to put contact information, maybe for the counselors and the principals and things like that, just kind of building a page, kind of like what you would want to see the West Valley page to look like. So kind of put your 2 cents into there. All right. So again, if you're having problems, I'm going to go in order. So Owen, were you able to get logged in? Okay. Cool. All right. So Tyler, let me look at yours first. See what's going on with that.